Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Zelda Universe TV. Now, we don't normally do live streams from this channel very often, but we're here with a couple of really cool guests today. These are the guys behind Zeldamotion. So I'd like to introduce, Aeipathy Industries or Aeipathy Industries. Could you tell us how to pronounce it?
Yeah, it's Aeipathy Industries. We made the mistake of choosing a weird, very old name. It means undying passion and yielding disease, so it's
probably with it though.
Yeah, too late to change
with
it now.
Great. So if you guys could introduce yourselves, obviously two guys sharing the one screen, and just tell us a little bit about what your role is on Zeldamotion.
Well, I'll start because it's easy. My name is Zach Patch. I'm basically just I'm assisting with animation. Really, I'm more the communications and I guess PR, yeah, of the team. This is the real workforce, though. This is the guy right here. So
I'm Mike Patch. I basically created the idea from very crappy beginnings, but it's come a long way. And I have PR people because I'm not very socially adept.
Okay, great. And with us, we also have the Zelda Universe team. So I'm Shona. So we've also got Josh and Alex, if you guys want to say hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey. So first question, before we get into Zeldamotion, who's been playing Hyrule Warriors?
Oh.
I just started playing today. I would have played yesterday, but PBS had a thing with Sweeney Todd, and I was like, well, okay, watching that tonight. But I played the first level, and it was about as ridiculous as I was expecting. So that's good. Having fun with that. It's still on my screen.
I was playing right before this, and I also did the review for ZU, so I've been playing for a couple weeks, and I'm still playing. This game has a lot of content.
Yeah.
I'm not even close to finished.
oh man.
Oh boy.
But
So Zach and Mike, have you got the game? Have you been playing it yet?
I'm still waiting to get it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
awesome.
we're big fans of just the Dynasty Warriors series in general, and now that's come to Zelda Universe. We want to get our hands on it, but it's going to be we're going to have like a lot of hours dedicated to that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hours to spend in it.
Yeah.
Boy.
So obviously you guys, you're the brains behind Zeldamotion, but just tell us a little bit, how long have you guys been Zelda fans for, and how did you get into the series?
Oh man, my first memories were of Zelda 2. My dad played and beat that game when I was just newborn. And
wow, that's impressive. That's a hard game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a really good memory. How do you remember when you were a newborn?
Well, no, I'm saying I didn't finish.
I'm calling full credit.
I made it up.
I was in the womb and I remembered it. Yeah.
Obviously.
But the music from Zelda 2 is like super nostalgic because of that. And then picked up Ocarina of Time when I was about 12. You actually brought home the little Ocarina of Time manual, and I stole it from you, and I still have it. And it was one of your friends' manual. And it's like,
if you can't tell, he's the older brother. So it's hard to tell sometimes because I'm always the one with the beard and stuff. So
well,
and I'm taller technically, but I guess I didn't remember that. I must have wiped that memory, but I guess brought the manual. But yeah, when he was 12, that's when he got into it, and I thought I followed you into it. Like I thought I was the second person to get involved with Zelda.
You got into it after that, but you gave me the manual first.
Yeah. So I guess I'm the original fan.
Right. Whatever.
Oh, I sense that brotherly competition there.
That's right.
So just for those who are watching that might not be familiar with Zeldamotion, what is it and what's it all about?
So Zeldamotion it started off being an attempt to color the Akira Himikawa mangas. Nintendo commissioned these two artists who go by the name of Akira Himikawa two artists that go under one name, and they've pretty much made almost all of the Zelda games into a manga format. And I picked them up like 5 years ago and fell in love with them because it's like you play the games, but you don't get to experience them in a story format as much. Like I don't know, the manga makes it feel like a film, and so I started out wanting to just color them and post them on the internet. But when I made them into Photoshop layers, I was like, oh man, I could just slide the background and make things move slightly, and then it just was like, well, I guess I could add sound effects and music, and then it just became this big thing. Like I wanted to just make it more and more cinematic, and then made the first trailer, which was pretty rough. We watched it again, and it's actually not too bad. Like
We actually,
it's fitting.
We realized though that was the first major mistake that we made, was trying to make it more than
what it was.
More than what it was.
So as time went on, we got voice actors, or people. I should say, people wanted voice actors because they didn't want to have to read dialogue. We got a ton of people suggesting voice actors, and then we put out a casting call and got a bunch of different responses. Eventually, I got this audition, and I was like, whoa, this sounds very high quality. This guy knows what he's doing. And then I looked him up, and it was Todd Habercorn, and I was like, whoa, how did this happen? How did my project get Todd Habercorn?
And then what else has Todd done?
We'll say that again?
What other projects has Todd done?
Oh, he's been in a bunch of different projects. I forget all the names, but Death the Kid.
He's been on Sword Art Online.
He's been in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He's a character named Ling. I don't know if that's from Brotherhood.
I think that's...
Yeah. That might be a different...
That's from Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay, then that's the one. Yeah, so he's
been in a lot of video games and a lot of anime. He's a pretty well actor, yeah.
And then Rena Chan auditioned as well, and a lot of people know her from the Awesome series.
Metal Gear Awesome.
Metal Gear Awesome. She played. Yeah. She's played a bunch of different roles since then. That's just where we initially recognized her from. And then later on, we went to a convention, and Vic Mignogna was there. He's Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. And he started talking about Todd Habercorn, and we were like, wait a second, these two are friends? And so afterwards, we went to him. Yeah. So me and my friend Sean, who's not here right now, we were like, okay, let's go to the signing and stay at the end of the line so that we can have a little talk with Vic. And we totally did. At the end of it, we were like, so your friend Todd Habercorn is in a Zelda project that we're doing. And
they made themselves sound way cooler than they actually were at the time. So,
but anyway, Vic was like, well, if Todd's involved, I got to be involved, and because they had this constant rivalry going on. It's just for fun. It's pretty funny. So anyway, we got Vic Mignogna, and I thought he wasn't going to send us an audition. I'm like, there's no way he's going to send us an audition, and then he did. Well, I guess we have to make it into a full-blown anime.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
So I would like to point out that when I watched the first episode, I had not been aware of the manga. So after I watched it, I was like, oh, I should go look into this. So I went to Nintendo World and bought it because I'm really close to New York.
Nice.
And reading through it and just reading through the first part and reading for all the other parts that are coming up, I was just amazed on how really close it was. How difficult did you find trying to adapt something that used to be just on a page and creating something that's moving that people can just watch? How difficult was that for you guys to do?
Initially, it was just fun with the first rendition of the episode. So I guess I should clarify. So there was one, I think it was around 5-minute sequence I did like 4 years ago that was the separated layer. It's mostly just panning and zooming. And stuff like that.
A motion comic, basically.
Basically a motion comic. And then I made a trailer, and then I made this new episode. And so, to answer your question, it was just fun for the most part in the beginning to just take each frame from the comic and use it kind of as a storyboard and make the characters slightly move. Then we basically had to figure out how an actual anime is made to give full movement to it, and that was actually pretty difficult.
Yeah, transitioning from just moving images that he'd colored over and everything to actually switching to a full animation. It went from the comic book really being a storyboard, or being having the comic book be actual moving parts in the animation, to just only a storyboard, because most of the stuff that he's done, or that's been worked on, has been, at least for the new episode, has been completely from scratch. So
a decent amount of it is. So yeah, it was a huge learning curve, but at this point now we're comfortable with the process that we've developed, and I just wish we had had that a year ago. But
So is the actual animation a recent change you made? Because I was around and I remember when you showed the trailer, and quite honestly, I didn't think the project was still going on. I was really surprised when it came out and really excited.
Yeah, I remember the same thing.
You said in the last year you had gotten it figured out. Did that mean that before that you were still doing the panning and zooming? And
yeah,
just started again?
Yeah. For the most part, I had. So this first episode. Anyone who's seen it, it goes up until Uncle dies, for people who are familiar with the A Link to the Past story, and that's where it ends. I have 2 episodes worth that are in the panning and zooming format, ready to go. I could just release a second episode of the simple panning and zooming, but I think it's worth it to go back and make it full frame by frame, so you get the full movement of an emotion that goes on.
And the funny thing about it is that we've changed the animation style at least twice now. At least 2 or 3 times now, and we're actually changing it again over to, because the funny thing is that Mike, who's been doing the majority of the work on this whole thing, has been working with Photoshop, and that's not.
That learning curve, though.
Yeah, it's the worst for animation.
It's not bad, but there's programs that are way better.
It's the worst for animation. It's not for animation. But he's been working with it. He's been making it work. But we're starting to switch over to Toon Boom now, which is just what the industry uses in general. So it's going to be a much more streamlined process at this point. It's funny because we're changing again. Essentially, we're not switching styles so much, because it will just be frame by frame. But yeah,
it'll work.
It'll do.
It'll work.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
You see the confidence that we have in this project. You're getting that.
Well, it's been working pretty well so far.
Yeah, so I have to ask, was the idea of just were you just drawn to the idea of just what would happen if we actually made this fully fledged, or did you have any sort of inspiration of just animating stuff?
Oh man, I actually never considered going the animation route. I'm just such a huge Zelda fan that I was like, I wish there would be a Zelda movie, and I'm sure there's tons of Zelda fans that have said that. And then I was like, would it be best if it was live action? And there's been live action renditions. I'm like, maybe fully CG. And then I see cutscenes from the new games and stuff. I'm like, well, they kind of have that covered. So it seemed to me that the best format would be anime. And I'm like, oh man, it'd be so cool to make this into an anime. And I'm like, can I even do that? Is that just... And so That's
Yeah,
been the
well,
goal.
I've been hanging out on Zelda forums for many, many years, and one topic that comes up all the time, over and over, is what format, if they made a Zelda movie, what format should it be in? And yeah, the people are always arguing between live action, anime, or CGI. So, and as you said, we've sort of had the other two, but I think this is the first proper anime fan project, at least that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's good. Yeah, we have been the project has been something that we've been passionate about this whole time. Mike especially. I say we a lot, but that's because I want to be included. But really, Mike is the workhorse behind most of it.
It's like, hey, I'll join on that hype train.
Yeah, whatever. I like Zelda too.
We do have, I guess this is a good time to credit all the people involved. He has been involved in talking to people, and he set up a booth at a con and all that. But we have another friend, Jerem, who's done a ton of work. He's actually in Utah right now. He's actually the one who helped me figure out how the animation process works, and he created a lot of structure for it. And then our friend Sean, who's done a lot of social networking and stuff. But anyway,
yeah. Well, I at least wanted to shout those guys out.
Yeah,
since they're not here, but.
No, thank you. Yes, I was going to ask who else was involved. So it's basically just 4 of you then, plus your voice cast.
We also have a couple of people who've helped out in the animation. The intro where the triangles are coming together, that was 3D animated. I was not even close to knowing how to do that. I was like hoping that I would run into somebody who did 3D, and this girl at my work was like, "Oh, hey, I came from the game industry and I can do 3D." I'm like, "You must help me." And so, yeah, so she made that intro for us, and she did a lot of the color layers for some of the cuts in the actual anime. And then there's another guy named Sebastian.
You didn't say her name. Her name is Elizabeth Moore.
Elizabeth Moore.
She's part of she's now one of the animators on the team. She's going to probably mainly be doing coloring. So. And
then Sebastian Bruno, who actually did some of the actual frame-by-frame animations in the more towards the beginning of the episode. So, and there's a couple other people that I'm sure I'm going to forget that have helped out. Most of them are in the credits. But the team's grown, and it's been very helpful. So.
And it's definitely speeding up the process.
And Zelda Universe, you guys have been supporting us the whole way along. Like, you guys post an article, and we're like, "Woo, people care!"
Wait, yeah.
Woo, publicity! Hooray!
Yeah. No, we're just big Zelda fans like you guys, and we want other Zelda fans to see all the cool stuff other Zelda fans are doing. So.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, I'm going to back up a little bit further to the beginning here. You mentioned that Himekawa's made mangas for almost all the Zelda games. So why did you pick A Link to the Past, especially since Ocarina of Time was your first game?
Whoa! Wow!
Oh, snap.
Okay, now I have to be careful on this answer because Ocarina of Time is my favorite Zelda game. I chose A Link to the Past because I didn't feel worthy to take on Ocarina of Time first thing. So, but not to say A Link to the Past is
You're messing up.
it's
Careful.
I also loved the A Link to the Past manga. Like I thought the extra stuff they added in were so cool. So I was like, I was really excited about doing A Link to the Past. So it wasn't necessarily that A Link to the Past was the one that could be crappy at all. It's just it was motivating.
I certainly hope not.
I hope not. Yeah.
And it was the first one. It was the first one in the series of the comic books. So
I think it
isn't it?
I'll have to look into
Maybe.
that, but it was at least the first one that I stumbled upon in the mangas. So I read through that whole thing, and so I guess
That was really the inspiration behind animating it.
yeah, I guess it was because I saw A Link to the Past first in the manga format that made me want to do that first.
So really, he had already started on animating before he even knew that there was
Well, before I looked into the
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
well, one of our fans on Facebook has asked, will you do Ocarina of Time next?
I would love to. I would basically, if this is a route that we get sufficient support in, like if people just are loving it and it's just everything's just going well, I would love to do Ocarina of Time.
Just do the whole,
And
the whole Akira Himagawa series.
Yeah, and I'm sure even if there was no support, I'd probably get around to it and just start animating stuff anyway. But
yeah, no matter what, the plan is just to continue working on the project. So eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well-
so how many episodes do you plan there to be altogether?
the cool thing is with the length of this first episode, which I do feel is a bit short, but with that length, it could be kind of like Adventure Time, and we could probably pull out a full season just for A Link to the Past.
15 to 20.
Because if you all of the comic book pages that are covered in the first episode, I think it's only like under 10 pages.
Yeah, it's only a
And that's-
few.
Yeah, it's about that.
About that, pretty close.
That's pretty
so-
close.
So that's pretty short. I mean, like, and I can't remember how many pages are in the entire manga. Can you see?
Okay, so I just checked. I have up to page 20 for the first episode. I believe page numbers.
There are
don't they-
180, around 180
There's
pages.
181 to the very, very end of the manga.
Oh, okay.
Well, it'd probably
So-
be more like each episode will be a little bit. We want it to be a little bit longer than this first one.
We would
so
Ideally,
it'll probably
yeah.
be more like I would say anywhere between 15 to 20 episodes at that point.
we're obviously doing really rough math here.
You can see how well we planned this interview out.
Right.
For all the really rough questions.
But yeah, I would just say around like 10 to 20 episodes. That's like a big
That
range.
seems reasonable.
10 to 20, whatever. But yeah, it would be cool because it'd be multiple episodes just for one.
It'd be kind of nice to have like a season per manga.
Yeah,
So-
Ocarina
Yeah.
of Time. I think
Mhm.
Ocarina of Time would be twice as long because it's broken up into 2 mangas.
2 books, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple other games that way also in the series.
Right.
Yeah.
On a related note, and the answer to this may be that you didn't know it existed, but I wanted to see if you did know it existed. We keep talking about Himekawa's mangas. Did you know there's another one by Shotori Ishinomori?
I would have to look. Yes.
Oh, it's the comic book.
I love that one. That one's actually.
Hold it up again to the camera.
I knew of its existence, but I've never actually read it.
Yep,
It was originally published in Nintendo Power. Let's see if you can see some of it. It's got a slightly different art style to it, but I
Right.
grew up with this book, and I've known about this one a lot longer than the other one. Himekawas are fairly recently published in North America, and that one was published in 1992 for Nintendo
But they-
Power.
Oh.
So I was
Yeah,
just
it-
curious if you knew that it was around and if you ever considered it instead. Personally, I think it's better. The art style's a little more rough, but
Right. I'm glad you brought that up because I think I did see that one before I saw the Himekawa ones, and I agree. I think that the way that the story goes in that one is a lot funner. Like it's really, really interesting. What Akira Himekawa has going for him is that their style seems closer to what we're all familiar with.
it is. That is true.
But yeah, I totally agree. That other comic is really cool. Isn't that the one with he gets a Zora mask or a Zola mask? One of the two.
Yeah, it's something like that, and this predates Majora's Mask. I'll see if I can find it. But
Yeah.
yes, he does. It introduces its own characters. It has a Navi-esque character before there was a Navi.
Oh,
Um,
jeez.
And I mean, it doesn't follow the story probably as closely as Himekawa's does, but I always thought that it was a very interesting rendition of
It
the
is.
story.
It is. I do love that one, and I think that would be a fun one to animate at some point. It'd be so cool to do all of these.
Shoot all of the comics in existence.
Yeah, every comic ever. That's our goal.
We work here. See if he's got a mask there.
Yep.
There we go. A Zora mask.
Whoa!
Yep. That's so cool. That was a good
I wonder
one.
how much of a say or how involved Nintendo was with those, and if they were maybe inspired from Majora's Mask, or maybe back then they were even thinking, hey, masks are cool, eventually we'll put them in a game.
And then we'll throw a guitar in for that Zora.
Yeah.
You can rock out.
That would be interesting to know. Find out.
I need to take a look at that comic.
I know, me too, I didn't know it was released in like a separate publication. That's so cool.
Yeah. I just stumbled upon it one day. So.
Nice. So one of our fans has another question, which is, how did you actually pick Link's voice? Because many Zelda fans prefer him to be silent. They see him as the silent protagonist. And you actually said that a lot of people had asked for voice acting, which I thought was really interesting because in the Zelda games you normally read the text anyway. So how did that go about?
That's a good question as well. A lot of people complain. Well, so for the first episode that I made, that was not voiceover. My grammar was pretty bad, and so that caught people's attention. But then you also had people that didn't want to be reading anyway. But on the other hand, there was a lot of support for people saying, no, it's cool. Keep the subtitles, and I don't know, keep going in that direction. And I was like, oh man, I don't know what to do. If I'm going to make this into an anime, I feel like it has to have voiceover work, and there's plenty of people wanting it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do a casting call. And I guess I felt justified in giving Link a voice because that's how the Akira Himikawa mangas are. And there's a lot of debate on whether Link does have a voice or not. I read some interesting comments, people saying that in some of the games, in some of the newer games, I think Skyward Sword, he's not, you never hear words that he's saying, but he's looking at a character and going like this, and his mouth
Yeah,
is
he is
moving.
going through the movements.
Right, and so it's kind of like, well, I think he definitely talks. I mean, if you want to get down to technicalities, he definitely talks.
he's talking to people.
But the main thing is the mangas, they're definitely...
he has dialogue the entire way through.
Yeah,
so
and it would be pretty rough. I think Pixar could pull off episode of Zelda with no dialogue at all because they're good at that.
But they
have done that. Anyway. I feel like a lot of people's major concern with just having Link with a voice is that the times that we've had Link with actual voices have been things that we like to try to forget. CDI and the cartoon are the two examples I bring up. And I mean, I love the Zelda cartoon just for the ridiculousness, but it's a definite concern for a lot of people.
Here at Zelda Universe, we choose not to forget the Zelda cartoon or the CDI game.
We have a whole month of it.
We embrace these. We love them.
We embrace the lulls that they have given us. They bring us much joy.
Yes,
I think
we do.
We watched them, and we loved every freaking second.
I think I spent $40 on eBay in like
on the VHS.
year 2000 on a VHS of all of those episodes.
Wow.
It's like a Zelda animation. We have to watch this.
And now they're on YouTube for free, and I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, they're on YouTube and Hulu, I believe. But I think they're also on Amazon for like maybe $15.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I have a DVD set. So.
Yeah,
I
I'm
might
trying
have
to
to
get
go
one
grab that.
actually.
I may have to go on Amazon after this and get it.
I like them. It's actually, I think those cartoons are more true to an actual video game than any other comic or manga of Zelda. It's like he shoots the bad guys and they turn into item, and he puts the item in his infinite pouch.
Yes.
The Mary Poppins bag in Nintendo.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about voices. So Jenny on Facebook wants to know what the actual recording process was like. So you obviously got some really big names. So what went on with that?
So that was pretty interesting. I actually didn't know what to expect at first. So I made the casting call, and when I got Todd's audition, I obviously was blown away by it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you definitely have the part. And Todd is a huge Zelda fan. I mean, otherwise he would. Yeah. Otherwise he probably wouldn't have even bothered. And so he played Link. Basically, you could tell he knew Link by the way that he did the audition. Like at the end, he has some sound effects that you'll hear in the second episode, where he's like, yeah, doing
Yeah.
like Link would, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. He it's a dedicated fan, because he could have just. I think any other voice actor, if we had hired somebody that didn't know Zelda, they would have just. I don't know. It would have just been completely different. You wouldn't have felt the Zelda vibe as much.
And when we originally heard his audition, we realized he seemed like the perfect medium between an adult and a kid. Like he didn't seem too young, but at the same time he wasn't some big grown-up Link. So
yeah, the Link in the beginning of the A Link to the Past manga versus Link at the end are kind of like two separate people. In this first episode, he's obviously more like a kid who's happy to help out and all that, but by the end he's like, I've seen some stuff.
Very generic dark stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think having Todd Habercorn, he has an awesome range in his voice to be able to accommodate both of those. Yep. So
it'll be very exciting to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I guess you kind of mentioned anyway. I was going to ask you how far you gotten on the next episodes, and it sounds like you've already done some recording for it.
Yeah, they gave us. I kind of re-scripted about 2 episodes worth to have, and that's what I asked the voice actors to get. Sorry, I didn't even answer the question. You guys were wondering about the process of how it worked. Sorry, Jim.
Right.
So basically, I took the Japanese translations of the manga and the English version of the manga, and kind of, like you can find on the internet people who have translated straight from the Japanese version.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
So
it was many years in between. The Japanese copy's been released and then the English copies. And
Right.
are there many differences? Because I haven't compared them.
There are differences, and that's why I wanted to use both references. And it's little things like an important scene is Uncle talking about Link. Have you ever thought about leaving the farm? You always want it to be, and then it changes from the Japanese one to the English one. And I forget which one it is, but one of them is like, have you ever thought about being a blacksmith? And then another version is, have you ever thought about being, I forget, a samurai now. But anyway, so there were slight differences in what they were talking about and how they would word things. I think in the Japanese translations, there's like some swear words even. So what I did is I looked at the overall story and both versions and tried to choose dialogue that made the most sense for the story later on. Link's father. I don't know if I want to go into spoilers. I guess for people who.
Or just watching
animation. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, there's a reason I chose Uncle to say, have you ever thought about being a knight of Hyrule? Because it plays into stuff that happens later in the story, as opposed to a blacksmith. And I recently found out that, actually, I'm going to pause there. I got completely off topic again.
Alright.
So I'll sum it up. I wrote a script, sent it to the voice actors, and they
have recording.
They had their own
equipment,
recording equipment and studios and everything, and they sent me back these awesome, high quality voice tracks. And so there was not actually any face to face other than me talking to them at cons. And so that's how it's been up to this point. There.
Question answered.
There we go.
And then you were saying. So now we know that this project has actually been running for quite some time, and that you had a few hurdles that you encountered, or maybe many hurdles, like you tried to get this funded on Kickstarter, I believe. So what were the things that you had to fight to get this first episode online?
Yeah, that's a funny story. The Kickstarter. Okay, we'll break this up into topics so that I can keep track. So, hurdles. First one being the process. Second being the Kickstarter and the pressure. So, the process has been the biggest hurdle up to this point. I've been an illustrator for years, but I haven't been an animator. Over the course of 4 or 5 years, I've dinked around with animation, and only now do I feel confident in being able to take a project from start to finish in a full frame-by-frame animation, doing it cut by cut, and all that, because I feel comfortable with the overall process. And again, my friend Jerem, he was a lot of what he helped me structure that whole process overall. We had to do some research in how animes are made and all of that, so that we could get as professional of a workflow as possible. So, and then developing the style, that kind of took some time as well. So then there's the Kickstarter. I was like, okay, I'm doing this very, very part-time, in between jobs, in between school and all that. And I would like to have it be faster, and so I'm like, well, I guess if I could get better equipment and not have to work as many hours at my job, then I could work more full-time. So I was like, okay, we'll just do a Kickstarter. So we put the Kickstarter up, and there's all these Kickstarters of Nintendo projects.
Yeah, this was right around the time when like that Metroid project was coming out, that the live action Metroid film. There was the Final Fantasy film that was supposed to be coming out. They were all posted on Kickstarter, and obviously they were getting shut down left and right. And we really didn't want to be one of those guys. Obviously, the Kickstarter kind of flew under the radar. It was a little bit before any of those projects came out, but it flew under the radar, and we were kind of happy about that, to be honest, because once
the closer we were getting to the goal, I think our goal is $15,000.
Yeah.
The closer we got to that goal, the more I was like, oh man, if we make this goal,
and then
that's a lot of, like, Nintendo could shut us down. We also have to make it awesome and worth people's donations, and that was before I was confident in the animation process, and so we ended up stopping promoting it like halfway through,
and
I guess I kind of panicked.
We just didn't want our main concern was not wanting to basically just steal copyrighted materials. We were wanting to avoid that at all costs.
Right.
And the fact that it didn't get funded, we were really happy about that.
It was a big relief. That way we could just work on it little by little and have it, refine the process.
And once we actually had a product that was, worth people's time, we could then present it and, go through all the proper channels for funding. So,
Right.
But yeah.
So those have been probably the biggest struggles up to this point. I have a high standard of quality that I try and reach, and I don't always reach it, and that's kind of tough at times. So
which is why a lot of the time it takes it's obviously taken a long time.
Yeah, we had a release date in May, and I was like, it's not good enough. I can't release it like this.
Mhm.
And so we were like, sorry guys. Sorry again.
But
we'll see you in another 6 months so we can say sorry again. But yeah, I mean, things have gotten better. We're at a way more comfortable point.
and it's not just him doing the work anymore.
Right.
And he's not using Photoshop, and there's a lot of a lot of changes have been made.
Yeah. Yep.
So on the subject of copyright, is Nintendo aware of this? Have you spoken to anyone from them?
Yes.
We actually have. We got a hold of a representative from Nintendo Intellectual Properties or something like that.
Mhm.
That's how professional I know.
Well, no, it's a code name to remember.
Yeah.
But we got in contact with them. We let them know that we wanted to do this web series.
We essentially sent them a pitch,
Mhm.
and we weren't like, hey, strike a deal with us. We'll make a whole series. Because we're like, they could hire some other anime studio to do a way better job. So we basically were like, hey, Nintendo, we're huge fans. We would just like to be able to make this and not get a cease and desist. And that's it. That was our only request.
Yep.
Well, I guess we also did say we would like to crowdfund it if possible.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to be able to have the option of crowdfunding, just to have that option, but
Because crowdfunding is what would make it like professional timelines of like, oh yeah, we'll get an episode in a month.
Mhm.
Like, so anyway.
But so we got in contact with them, and they did respond. We don't want to go into too much detail on everything, but the fact is that we didn't get shut down right away, and we haven't been shut down essentially.
Things are looking good for now.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And we've gotten a lot farther than a lot of other projects have when requesting copyrights from Nintendo. So we're happy about that.
Great. We'll keep our fingers crossed then.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, cross fingers, please.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't be in this interview. I'm making everything sound so sketchy.
That's I'm here. He's so unconfident in his own work, and I'm like, do you see your own stuff? Sorry. Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah. Well, on the subject of confidence, I mean, you've obviously, the first episode's been up for a couple of weeks now, and the fans have been commenting, so have they generally been positive? I mean, from what I've seen, everyone's pretty excited about this project, so that should surely lift your spirits a bit.
Yes, that is the coolest thing, is usually something gets posted on YouTube and people are like, stupid, the voice acting sucks, the animation's horrible,
Luke talks, I'm out.
yeah.
Which, yeah.
YouTube comments.
Yeah.
But for we posted this episode and everyone's like, yes, please, like I'm crying right now. This is awesome. Please more. Like,
There's nothing more motivating than seeing that.
yeah, the Zelda fans, they've got to be some of the best, one of the best fan communities there is, because we get 95% positive feedback, and the rest are just people that, like, a lot of the times people will be like, Link shouldn't even have a voice, this is dumb, and then somebody will say, well, but it's different because it's a manga, and then the people that are hating will be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I did like the animation. So even the negative people are usually positive eventually. So, I don't know, it's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Zelda fans can be pretty harsh, so I think it's definitely a sign that you're doing something right.
Right. It's been very motivating. Yeah.
But yeah, I have to agree. The Zelda community is amazing, and they will get behind things. And yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about crowdfunding. Now, is there any way that the community can help out right now?
There are. We have two major options. We're thinking about doing a Kickstarter in the future, but for now we're doing a Patreon.
Yeah, we're doing
Patreon.
the Patreon page, which is which is more for our animation studio in general, because we have a lot of projects that we're going to be working on in the future. Some that are completely completely done by us, like that are completely original. And obviously, Zeldamotion is it's really our flagship right now, because that's what everyone's wanting. That's where we started. So
I guess it kind of works like this. We can't ask for we don't want to ask for money for copyrighted material, Zelda stuff. So what we're doing instead is just saying, help us fund our animation studio, Aeipathy Industries, and Zelda is our passion, so we will definitely be doing it continually, regardless of what happens. But the best way to enable us to, if we have the resources for our animation studio, we'll have more tools, more crew, more time to spend to dedicate to the Zeldamotion project. So
but to answer the question, we have our Patreon page because it's funding our animation studio.
Right.
And then we also have our PayPal that you can just donate directly to as well. So,
and for people who don't know how the Patreon works, it's really a monthly subscription. You choose how much you want to donate each month. And
a lot of YouTube channels just do it because it's a great way to support those people that are making stuff that you like on that you watch every day on YouTube. So.
Right. And for people who don't want to do a subscription like that, we just have our PayPal page, and we've had a lot of people that have donated to that directly, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And pretty cool.
We at Zelda Universe will share the details for the Patreon and the PayPal account. So this stream will be uploaded to YouTube once it's finished. So we'll make sure in the video description we'll post that there. And we'll also do a feature write-up of this interview too. So that will appear on our main site, zeldauniverse.net, and we'll put the links in there too.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That would be amazing.
We greatly appreciate it.
We really appreciate it.
Now, I think all of us are dying to see more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah, we love it. I
funny
probably watched this. I probably watched this episode more than like anyone I know.
Yeah, it's so funny because I'm like, this past year, I'm like, when's this episode coming out? I want to see it. Like, we want it just as much as everyone else. So.
So when can we expect to see episode 2?
That is purely dependent on time and resources.
Next week. Just kidding.
We found out that professional anime studios will get an episode done in 3 weeks to 2 months, and so we want to get to that point.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's probably a ways off.
A lot of people are like, all right, when's episode 2 coming out next year? And it's like, no. It's like we said before in the interview. We have streamlined the process. We've started using programs that are actually meant to do animation, and we actually have a team working on it now rather than just Mike, which it's definitely going to speed up the process. So episode 2, since there's already been work done on it, we don't want to obviously give out a hard date, but we think we could probably get it done within the next month or 2 here. So.
What did you do?
Awesome.
No. I'm gonna say no to that.
He's still
Wah, wah. Well then.
If we get the funding to basically what? I can't do the same job and do that. Sorry. I don't know. If it depends on how things go. We'll say within a year. There we
All right.
Comfortable. Like, it'll be before then, but at least then we're not lying.
So apparently it's hard to give an estimation for how long it's going to take. I don't know, an estimate for how long it's going to take, but
with the momentum that we've got, we can get...
It's going to be a lot faster.
It's going to be way faster than
episode 1.
Episode 1, like, fraction of the time. So... That's about. I'm trying.
It's about as indirect of an answer as you could possibly get.
As as possible.
All right.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. So we're actually coming up on an hour for this interview. So Josh and Alex, do you have any more questions that you wanted to ask?
I have none.
I think we've covered a lot of things that I intended to ask without me asking them. So
Yeah, same.
we've learned a whole lot today. It's been fantastic.
We dodged a lot of questions today. We really,
Woo.
Some extreme estimations. We've made some underestimations.
Whatever.
We've had a good time.
whatever.
Great.
Yeah, so now we covered, I think, most of the fan submitted ones too. So thank you to our community for also sending those in. So in that case, well, we will definitely look forward to following Zeldamotion as it progresses. Definitely we'll be posting about it on Zelda Universe, including when episode 2 comes out. Whenever that is, probably within a year, according to Mike.
Hopefully this year. This year.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. This year.
Whoa! October, November,
bomb.
December, 3 months.
Yeah.
We can have a Christmas present. That would be
There we
lovely.
go.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much for joining. And for those who tuned in, thank you for watching. Of course, this is available on YouTube as well. So if you like this interview, make sure that you give us a like and also subscribe to ZUTV on YouTube. We might start doing more of these live streams in the future. Thank you so much, Zach and Mike, for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. And also to Josh and Alex.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it, and we will keep you guys updated every step of the way.
Please do.
Please
Yeah.
do. Thanks for what you guys are doing. It's great.
Yeah, it was an honor to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
That's cool. We're
Likewise.
yes.
All right, so before we finish this one up, any final words from you guys, Mike and Zach?
Well, I personally want to thank the community. Like, it really has been like just hugely motivating to see all the comments. It's so exciting to finally have the first episode done.
And what he said, everyone's been awesome. Greatly appreciate it. The support has been our fuel, motivation. Awkward pause. Thank you guys. Sitting on something.
We love
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Yep, all right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, bye.